I got introduced to 4S a couple years ago through my brother and realized how good of a product it was, and I began to integrate that into my everyday use when I go hunting. I'm Marc Link from Macon, Georgia, and this is my success story. So this hunt began, I just gained access to the lease on a Tuesday and put some footwork in, 40 acres in the shape of an L, and got my kind of head wrapped around about where I wanted to be. Friday came around and I knew I needed to hang a stand. You know, Saturday morning was coming, and I decided to choose a section of the property that was a natural funnel. And so I hung the lock on, backed out, hung it as quick as I could, backed out. The next morning, I parked on the road and walked in, and I knew based on the transition area that there was right there that natural funnel as they pinched through, that they were either going to be coming from my left or my right, or they could be coming straight dead on to me. I didn't know because I'd never hunted it before, and when you don't have that knowledge, it's really difficult to determine stand placement. So I poured that bag of 4S out that morning, and I knew that if there were any deer that were going to skirt me, that was going to hit their nose, and I knew it would draw them in. If I had made a bad stand placement or read the deer patterns wrong, I knew that was something that I could use. So climbed the stand, got ready. So I got up, and as soon as the sun started creeping up, I took that little cup that I had and I just threw it out in the wind, because I'm just a guy, if I think I can get that product out in the air quicker and dispersed, I'm going to do it. So the morning came, the sun was up. I think I saw every animal that lives in the woods outside of a deer that morning. And as we got closer to 9 o'clock, you keep thinking to yourself that, it's as old as time. Did I make the right decision? Did I come in and booger something up when I came in? Did I put too much scent down? Did I read everything wrong? What are these deer doing? Why haven't I seen anything? Based on everything I've seen, I've got to be in the right spot. So 9 o'clock came, and I told myself, Mark, 30 more minutes. I get impatient early season. It's hot, it's humid. Everybody's got something to do in September. Summer's coming to a close. So about 9:05 came around. The wind's blowing left to right, and at the time, like I had said before, I had no idea where these deer were going to come from. And he came from the worst possible spot. He came directly to my right-hand side at an angle, and the wind's blowing directly from left to right. And I said, surely this deer is going to absolutely bust me. And he didn't. And I watched that deer. I'm shaking to death in the stand. It's one of the biggest bucks that I've had the opportunity to harvest with my bow. And so I said, Mark, you got to get it together. You've got to focus, because, if you don't focus, you're going to hit him in the shoulder, you're going to hit him up, you're going to hit him in no man's land. There's a million different things. So I finally gained my composure, and I'm watching this deer. And I noticed that that deer is focused on nothing around him, and he is simply walking 5 steps, putting his nose in the air. He's licking, he's smelling the air, and he's trying to figure out what is that going on. And he came in on the string after about 20 minutes. He worked in, and he came in, and I said, I was about to draw back. I said, no, be patient. He's going to the draw. He's going to the draw. It's got to be the draw. And he came in and he put his head behind this pine tree, and I drew back, and he was probably 17, 18 yards. And I grabbed my anchor point, I took a deep breath, and I let the arrow rip. And it was just the sweetest sound, that thud. And he took off, and he cut down over here to my left. And I watched him, and he did this, and he came back, and he got tangled in a vine, and I said, surely he's down. And then he ended up going about another 20 yards, and I watched him dump over. And I was shaking so hard, and the first person I called was my wife. She said, are you okay? What's going on? And I said, I just shot the biggest buck of my life. And she said, Mark, you say that every time. And I said, well, the last 2 years have been phenomenal for me, but I'm telling you, I just killed the biggest buck of my life. And she was just tickled to death. She loves being that person who gets that call. And I think as a hunter, as much time as we spend in the woods and the outdoors, to have that support system is invaluable. It's priceless. And so for her to share that moment with me, as soon as possible, and for me to go through the emotions and talk through the hunt, to me, that just makes the hunt even better. To be able to share that with somebody immediately and her understand what that accomplishment really means is pretty awesome. Yes, this is the biggest deer I've ever harvested with a bow. He netted 128 4/8, and he grossed 133 4/8. And he's a gorgeous 8-point, almost fully symmetrical. He's an extremely special deer.